Hello again. Yes, this is Pursuing God's Heart. We're working our way through John's Gospel. Just one highlight per chapter in this book. I'm trying to control myself and not go all over the place, but we come to John chapter 6. And in John chapter 6, we've got the feeding of the 5,000. And then the story carries on the next day, the same crowd, and they're looking for more food, basically, but they're asking for more signs. And it's quite an involved chapter. By the end of the chapter, they're rejecting Jesus because his teaching is just too much to take. And it seems like the popularity contest is kind of over. Jesus has failed from a sort of a popular perspective. But that's not the bit that I want us to notice. I want us to notice from verses 16 down to 21, in the midst of a chapter that seems to be completely focused on bread and completely focused on the feeding of the 5,000, we get this little incident where Jesus walks on the water. And what's strange about it is that we don't get a whole lot of detail. It's just kind of sitting there in the text. It's nighttime, they get into a boat, there's a strong wind, they row 3 or 4 miles, Jesus walks on the sea, comes near the boat, they were frightened, he said, "It is I, do not be afraid." Then they were glad to take him into the boat. Immediately the boat was at the land to which they were going. It's over before you know it. It's like hang on, where's Peter walking on water? Where's the whole, Jesus pretending to carry out? There's lots of other details in some of the other Gospels that are not included in John. And so what's going on? It's kind of intriguing because John seems to be so carefully crafted the way he's written his Gospel. For example, in John's Gospel, we have 7 times an I am statement, right? I am the light of the world, John 8:12. I am the way, the truth, and the life, John 14:6. I am the true vine, John 15, and so on. So there's 7 of those famous I am statements. I am the bread of life, of course, is in chapter 6. But what's that got to do with the walking on water? Well, the other thing that John is famous for is the 7 signs, 7 miracles that point to his identity and to who he is. So we've got the wedding at Cana, water into wine in John 2. This is the first sign by which Jesus manifested his glory to his disciples. We've got John 4, the official's son, John 5, the paralyzed man, and so on. There are 7 signs in John's Gospel. And often when people make a list of the 7 signs, they put the walking on water as one of those 7 signs. But again, it isn't. In this chapter, there's a feeding of the 5,000. That's a sign. It's defined and it's labeled a sign. But John here talks about Jesus walking on water, and at no point in his gospel does he ever refer to this as a sign. And actually, there are 7 signs described without it. I'll let you chase those, and if you get stuck, put a note in the comments and I'll add the references for you. But here we've got something. It's not a normal. There's no I am statement. There's no reference to it as a sign. So what is it? Well, actually, this is a hard one to spot in the English, but I'll just flag it for you in verse 20. When Jesus said to them, "It is I, do not be afraid." The way that's written, the way John wrote it, he wrote it with a statement that really we could translate I am. Not I am the way, the truth, and the life, or I am the light of the world. Not I am with something after it, but I am with nothing after it. And I am with nothing after it. The famous one is in John 8, verse 58. We might look at that when we get there. And I am with nothing after it is a really strong statement. It's Jesus making a declaration about his divine identity, the I am of the Old Testament. Here he is in the flesh. And so that's what's going on here. There are 7 signs in John's Gospel. Walking on water is not one of them. It's actually there to give us the I am statement. Not I am with something after, but I am with nothing after. Which means that Jesus here again is declaring to his disciples, he's the I am. If you want to know what God is like, look at Jesus. That's the beauty of John's Gospel. Because when we watch Jesus, we get to see the heart of God. We get to see the character of God. We get to see the great I am in action.